Hello, today I am going to be showing you the latest September box from Crochet Society. Now this box seems to be running a little late. I only got it a couple of days ago. And so this is just one of the little drawbacks of getting a subscription box from a different country. I've had 1 or 2 months with Crochet Society where the box seems to have gotten to me pretty quickly. But otherwise, I can expect it to be, 2 to 3 weeks behind the actual release date, if you will, for the month that it is shipped out. Hello, my name is Sig, and this is Essential Crochet, and you, of course, are always welcomed here. When you hit that subscribe button or the notification bell or even a simple thumbs up for the like, you're helping to support this channel. I look forward to your comments and always enjoy your presence here. Now let's get started. I'm first going to begin by opening the box. They always send a colorful box, as you can see. Lately they seem to be on kind of this hippie kick, this kind of illustrative, more 70s aesthetic, if you will. The inside of the box always has some kind of a little saying, and so this one is "Be bold and bright." And then of course everything comes wrapped and a little sticker, and I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to open this for you so that you can get a feel for the yarn that's included in this month's box. And now that you see this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the box aside and I'm going to start pulling out everything that is included in this box. So first of all, they're giving us 8 skeins of yarn, and each skein of yarn is 100% acrylic. It's their Confection DK. This seems to be a yarn that they've been issuing a lot lately. This particular skein, or all 8 of these skeins, are going to be 50 grams each, or 66 meters. And this colorway is a blueberry. My next colorway is the Parma Violet. Then we have Candy Apple. This one is called Clotted Cream. This colorway is referred to as Cherry Bomb. We have Candy Corn. We have Candy Floss. And this colorway is referred to as Orange Slice. Next, we have these embroidery hoops. So without looking in the book, I can only imagine that we're going to have one of the options as some kind of a wall hanging. They've included this pom-pom trim. I'm not entirely sure, maybe something that they give us requires a trim. I don't know, it's hard to say. Sometimes they just give us like little odd and end stuff and we can use it or not use it, but they don't typically give us an example for it. My sense is this is probably one of those, but I could be wrong and we won't know until I look at the book. Next, one of their usual hooks. This is going to be a 4mm again. Seem to use a lot of 4mm in these boxes, but this one matches the aesthetics of the box, which is typical of the hooks that they give. And a stitch marker. It's typical to receive stitch markers in these boxes, and this one is a little granny square. And as usual, I don't use this as a stitch marker, but I do really like these as zipper charms for bags, sweaters, anything that might have a zipper. I suppose you can also disconnect this to like a regular pin that you might use and turn this into a brooch. It has lots of applications, but the one application I don't think it does very well with because of the lobster claw. Let me try that again. Because of the lobster claw clasp, I don't believe this makes a good stitch marker. And then of course, when I use stitch markers, I don't like anything dangling because I'm always concerned about them getting snagged or caught up in the actual yarn or fabric itself. But with that said, that's cute. That's a cute little charm. Next, they give us these little hexagonal foam pieces. I'm going to say that they're for blocking, maybe, because this is kind of like a similar foam to what I would use when I'm going to block some of my pieces. A little thin, so maybe it'll be okay for mini blocking. Yeah, I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. You can just put it together. At least that's what I think it's going to be for. Yeah, okay. And then Pin for Perfection. So this is the last thing in this box this month. Well, except for the book, and we'll explore the book here in just a moment. So I'm trying to see what, oh yeah, see, basic pins. These are pins that you might use for blocking. So that's exactly what these little foam hexagonal pieces are for. I'm sure of it. Okay, so let's see what the book tells us. Okay, so as is obvious, we actually got the book, where in the Halloween special edition box there was no book. So I'm happy to see that we're getting a book this time. And it looks like the designer of many of these pieces is going to be Beth Povey. So they give us a couple of pages where we discuss Beth Povey a little bit. They talk about her and her work. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the page that tells me everything I'm supposed to have in this box. And number one is the Super Sweet Confection DK. So they say enjoy making your projects in a whole rainbow of shades. Okay. Number two, embroidery hoops. These are essentials for making your delicate mandalas. So I guess it looks like we're going to make little mandalas. 3, pom-pom trim. Embellish your makes with a little touch of fun. All right. 4, the 4mm crochet hook. Right. This trendy hook will be a great addition to your collection. Next, they're telling us blocking boards. Okay, that's exactly what they are. And these handy blocking boards are great for an expert finish. And then number 6 are going to be the pins. And number 7 is going to be the granny square stitch marker. Okay, so it looks like I got everything I was supposed to. Now the first pattern option they give me is going to be what they call this blueberry beanie. This gorgeous granny square beanie will keep you cute and cool in the summer. Well, I live in Alaska and this is September, so we're not really going into summer. We have finished our summer such as it was for the year. However, I suppose if I'm living in the lower hemisphere, like, South America or Australia or someplace like that, we would be going possibly right into our summer months. The second option given to us as a possible project to do from this box is going to be the Over the Rainbow basket. Keep your crochet supplies tidy in a bright and fun basket. And the third option that has been given to me is the mandala hoops. So they're calling it basically a mandala dream catcher to wall hangings. These hoops are perfect for home accessory. Okay, so it's a basic flower inside the hoop. Okay. And lastly, we are given a bonus pattern. And so the yarn that's given to us does not accommodate the bonus patterns. just to give you a heads up, it's just an additional pattern we can use our own yarn for. In the book, they often give suggestions or alternatives to the suggestions that they gave for the actual bonus pattern that you can purchase on your own and then make the pattern up with. So the bonus pattern they give us this time around is the Colorful Road Jumper, a design made to take you down the path of happiness on gray days. And the designer for the bonus pattern is Yesabet Bueno Fernandez. And if you're interested in any more of her work, she has an Instagram right here that's given. Also, another interesting article that is discussed in this book is going to be an article on blocking. They're going to cover wet blocking and steam blocking in this article. For those of you who aren't familiar with it or really don't know how to do it, this is an all right article that explains to you on how you might be able to do that. And then, of course, the information on the yarns you might use, alternatives to those yarns. This is always kind of an interesting page to me, just because I like to see which yarns they feel are approximates of one another, depending on brand and color and that kind of thing, right? So it's kind of a nerdy aspect or a nerdier aspect, but not something that I think most people are going to be that interested in. But now let's discuss what it was that I chose to do for this month's project. Because it's no secret that I always have trouble, or not always, but frequently have trouble finding a pattern that I actually like or I want to make out of this particular box. Just because a lot of times the patterns just really aren't my flavor. Not that there's, anything wrong with them, even though there's been a couple of patterns in the past that fell short of what might be considered a good pattern. But I digress. So for this month's box, I actually decided to go ahead and do the bonus pattern. There was a lot about this sweater that I really like, and there were a couple of small changes that I made, and I'll show you what those were here in just a moment. Not because there was a problem with the pattern. Actually, this has been really a very nice pattern. But because I kind of like my sweaters to fit just a little differently. And then, of course, the color combination. I changed the color combination because this really isn't my flavor of color combination. Not that there was anything wrong with it. I actually don't mind looking at it. I have no complaints in terms of it. It's just not for me. And then also too, I wasn't going to buy any more yarn. I just wanted to use the yarn that I already had. So let's discuss the yarn that I used before moving on to the actual completed sweater. And of course, what I thought about that. I used two types of yarn. I used this bonus DK. It's really kind of an extra value yarn. It's 100 grams. I used 1 skein of this yarn. So you can see the color is from Cerise, C-E-R-I-S-E, maybe, number 0984. I don't know. I pretty much got this yarn in a mystery bag of value yarn. So it wasn't something that I actually went out of my way to purchase on purpose. It just came with, with some value mystery bag yarn that I bought, and it was fine. DK weight, that's what I needed because that's what this pattern calls for. Also, I used 1.5 of these cakes of this mandala bonus bundle. And the colorway of this is called Meowth, number 249E. This is a Lion brand yarn, and you can see how the two colors work together. This is also a DK weight, which is perfect for the 4mm, or if you're American, US size G hook. And so I used these combinations. So I used one skein of this sort of pinkish, darker pinky color or rose color. And then I used 1.5 cakes of this Lion brand mandala yarn. Okay, so now before I get into actually what the sweater looked like and how I worked it up and so on and so forth, I just wanted to give you this image again, just as a little reminder as to what this sweater is supposed to look like, at least according to the designer. And after some reflection on the yarn that I chose to use and that I talked to you about for the making of this sweater, I decided that really this wasn't the kind of color I would use either. However, I know somebody who loves this color combination, and so I made the sweater for them, and we will discuss it. So it's the completed project of the sweater that I made, and at the end of the day, while I said I made a couple of different changes, I really only made the one change to coloring. As you can see here, you can see how the striping worked. I mostly just used the self-striping of the actual cake itself, with the exception of the sleeves. Now, when it came to the sleeves, I did need to color correct so that I could make all the stripes line up perfectly. Also, the next change that I made was simply the length. My friend wanted a sweater that could be worn as a dress or was more tunic-like on her, and so this is exactly what I did for her. So I extended the length of the sweater. Otherwise, I followed the pattern completely. So now, with all that said, I'm going to go ahead and show you maybe a closer look at the actual fabric. So again, I like the subtle texture of the moss stitch. It has a nice visual and physical feel, in my opinion. Also, I wanted to give you a chance to take a look at the ribbing, because there's two different types of ribbing that are associated with this particular pattern. We have the ribbing for the neck, and I thought they did a good job explaining how to do a ribbing for the neck so that it fits along the collarbone area nicely. Then also there was this ribbing for the arm, and it's basically the same ribbing for the bottom of the piece along the bottom hemline. And so you can see that's nice too, and they did a great job explaining that, because, well, sometimes, you know, when we're talking ribbing and crochet, typically a knitted ribbing looks so much nicer, in my opinion, than a crochet knitting, unless you crochet it correctly, or rather you do a more advanced crochet stitch or a different type of crochet stitch than what you're used to, and then you get something that looks very close to a knitted piece but with a crochet hook. Okay, that's about all I have for you this go around. I want to thank you for joining me. It was fun, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Stay safe and continue to be your most creative, awesome selves. Bye-bye now.